Call the city council meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Anderson.
Yes.
Conrad. Altus.
Yes.
Mazak.
Yes.
Sensala.
Yeah.
Holstead.
Pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Angela, you back up like you didn't want us pledging to you.
Well, the flight was here last night, so.
Verification of posting.
The agenda was posted at City Hall, State Bank of Arcadia, and Arcadia TV and Appliance on Monday, and then revised yesterday and posted the same places by 4:30 p.m.
We have a 12-item agenda. I'd
So
entertain a
moved.
motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Feltus, second by Mezek. Comments, questions? Clerk will call the roll.
Altus.
Yep.
Mazak.
Yes.
Sensala.
Yep.
Anderson.
Yes.
Motion carries. Public comment. Public comment? Public comment? Hearing none, we'll move on. Meeting minutes from September 4th of 2019. Motion by Sensala.
Second.
By Feltus. Questions? Clerk will call the roll.
Mazak.
Yeah.
Sensala.
Yep.
Anderson.
Yes.
Altus.
Yep.
Motion carries. Board and commission updates. We have none. Department updates, none. This time I'd open the public hearing for the liquor license, for the Class B liquor license. Bar Los, how do you pronounce that?
Portrillo's.
Petrillos LLC. And we'll just continue on and see if there's any public. We'll take action at the very end of the meeting, probably after the closed session, in case anybody wants to come in and discuss.
107 Grand Street.
Is that Dan's Bar?
Yeah. Do you guys have any comments right away? Questions? The applicant is not here.
Are we current there with all the bills paid and taxes and everything?
I have not checked.
Because that would play into whether they get a license or not.
And after, just when we have the public hearing, it doesn't have to be granted the same night. All you have to do is have a public hearing, so we could table it to the next meeting as well, until Angela can find something.
I will tell you this, the previous owner was current on her taxes and utility bill. The new owner wouldn't have anything,
No, I'm just
so.
dotting the i's and crossing the t's.
Okay. Item 8A, discussion and possible action on ordinance 2019-6. An ordinance regulating dance halls in the city of Arcadia. Quite a lengthy discussion last time. Hopefully you guys came back with some answers. What's that?
I did, and then I read all these other questions for us.
Well, I guess I can maybe start off, you can fill me in a couple things. So we had met with Terry to discuss the current ordinance, the way it sits with some of the questions that we had with the council last time. Some of the ones that came up are listed here in the executive summary, so I guess if we can just move forward with answering those questions, we can get those to Terry to rewrite another, have the ordinance brought back to the council at its next meeting for either adoption or.
Sure. I mean, I guess the first question, does the common council want to allow prohibit intoxicating liquors to be provided at a dance hall? I mean, my main question would be, if we providing intoxicating liquor, wouldn't they have to have a liquor license?
Not if you're not selling it.
Not if you're not selling it.
They could bring it in.
They could bring it in, but we could prohibit them and make them beer only, if they were to bring something in.
Okay.
Or you could limit, if you wanna limit it, you could limit it to beer and wine only. That's kind of,
What did the previous ordinance
this is a new, dance hall ordinance has been repealed, it hasn't really been in effect for years.
Yeah.
So there's no basis or.
We brought back the other one, and I don't know if the other one stated one way or the other.
Actually, the other one stated dance halls, no intoxicating liquors whatsoever.
Okay.
And that was an ordinance from 1924, I think was the original ordinance. And then it was repealed in 1970 something, I think, or something.
That was repealed, just
It was
only
repealed
recodified
just
the
like
ordinance.
a year ago, probably
But
a year and a half
I
ago.
think the old ordinance also prohibited you to be at a dance hall if you were intoxicated
Yes.
at all.
So it's kinda like Footloose, cause they didn't, you know, they're dancing, that's why they couldn't listen to music or whatever. Okay.
Diane's meant to-
Well, if it's a dance hall, you should be there dancing.
I'll take that,
You know, I think the recommendation from a couple, well, at least the one owner that's looking at this is beer only. But again, that's kind of up to the council whether or not you want to allow people to be able to carry in liquor as well.
I think if we start letting people carry it in and bring it in at 11 o'clock at night, I think if you bring one 12-pack or a case of beer is different than bringing a couple bottles of hard liquor.
Jack Daniels.
That's my opinion.
I agree.
I'm okay with beer and wine.
I would be happy with just beer only. Cause wine is glass bottles.
Well, that comes to the next question, does it want to allow prohibit beer bottles or allow cans only?
I would say cans only, because otherwise you're gonna have such a mess.
But we don't limit, I mean, we don't have a liquor license and bars have liquor license, but we don't limit the bars to only have cans.
True, but on other days we do. No, there isn't.
We don't limit it.
They do that
AHA's
on their own, which is a good idea, I think, but.
I mean, on the flip side of that, if you don't limit to beer or cans, you could put that onus on the person that owns the business in their rental agreements that would, and let them use their discretion whether or not they allow cans or bottles or both.
I'll see, I mean,
It'll work, but
it's gonna stay in their establishment anyway, right?
right. Yeah.
Well,
we hope.
Supposedly.
But if it comes out and becomes a problem,
Yeah.
that becomes a,
Green Bay, I can see Green Bay Avenue with all
but that
kinds of
becomes an
broken glass.
issue, that becomes an issue that we can still monitor on our own. That, hey, there's been an exorbitant amount of glass bottles, you know, they could get their permit pulled for that reason, correct?
Right.
I'm just saying, I like to drink microbrew, you don't get that for the most part in a can.
Well, and I don't know how to word this correctly, but most of the stuff they drink, I believe, comes in cans. What'll be served there.
It's not just gonna be for them.
Right.
Well, true. Or is it?
Somebody rents the hall, like, they're having the beer and wine walk, and they're gonna have a meeting down there, and you have a wine vendor or a beer vendor come in and wants to give it out, you're now limiting what they can serve in that facility.
Which is true.
If we can
If we have an issue, I think we can always go back and
back,
say we
yeah.
have an issue with, because there's glass all over, and we address it with the property
fine.
owners, who's ever out there, that's my opinion
I'd
about
be
glass.
okay with beer and wine, not worry about bottles or cans.
Beer and wine, no liquor, bottles or cans are fine.
Tequila.
Mas tequila. Does the common council want to limit a prohibited alcohol concentration for those attending a dance? I don't think that's, I think that, to me, that's up to the property owner's discretion.
Yeah.
If somebody has, we're not gonna have the manpower to stand down there and say who's been overserved before they come to the dance.
Right?
Right, Diana?
I missed your,
The question says, does the common council want to limit prohibited alcohol concentration for those attending a dance?
how are you gonna regulate that?
Exactly.
Blow every time someone walks in the door?
I think Terry's thought process on that question was more so giving the police department more discretion on citations for disorderly conducts or fights or things like that that are happening, that if they're over a certain limit, that you can cite them for that. I think that was more so Terry's thought process and
Asking the question.
asking the question.
You know, I mean, that's a good point, however, in my opinion, I think if there's a disturbance, I'll call it, down there,
Right.
we can
Still,
We can still
Right,
write
I don't think we need,
citations.
in my opinion, I don't think we need to have something in regards to
It
that.
could
'Cause
be a
if there's a
disorderly-
disturbance, we're gonna have other realms of taking care of the situation with citations or arrests versus what the alcohol level is.
Okay, everybody agree? You agree, Joe, or
That's fine.
Kevin?
Yep.
Dan? Paul?
I'm good with it.
yes.
What does the common council wanna do for hours of operation?
Midnight.
That sounds good.
I think that's late enough.
I'll wait for Fritz, but
Anything later is asking for trouble.
You ain't much fun, Joe.
Is there anything in this, and I don't remember offhand, in regards to noise as well with this? I'm just thinking from past experience from when the city of Independence was dealing with such an issue of type of same, where it was the loud noise that was coming from the building when they were having a dance hall. But stopping it at midnight would also help curb that as well. Just
I
regulate
don't
like we
believe
do
it.
anything else, if we get a noise complaint on it.
I don't believe there was a, decibel level in there. I
Okay.
don't recall seeing one. And I think the last time we discussed is it is in a downtown environment, it's not in a neighborhood, the one that's being suggested. I don't know, cause we talked about parking too, but we don't limit any other businesses that have parking.
Right.
Or not be able to have something because they don't have parking. The responsibility of the person that goes to the party, of how far away they have to park, and do they wanna attend because they have to park a long ways away. Fritz, the idea was, hours of operation be closed at midnight.
For
You wanna
number
have-
7?
Number 7, number 5. Number 7, we just open the hearing and we'll act on it later or bring it back the next week. Number 8A, dance hall.
Sounds good.
I guess, and then the other flip side of that, basically, just expanding on hours of operation, do you wanna have a specific start time where they can't start at like 8 AM, go to midnight, or do you wanna do like a 12 noon to 12 midnight, or?
I personally don't have a problem if they wanna start earlier.
I don't either.
Just because it's a dance hall, I mean, you're putting it under this dance hall umbrella, or I'll call it an event space. Or it
Could
could be
rent it in the
limited.
morning and have a brunch or something.
Yeah, you could have different events there, which now you're limiting, you know,
So
somebody.
you would still want a beginning time though, right?
8 AM, sounds good to me.
Because if you prohibit it at midnight, then if there's not a start time, could they start it up again at
Right.
12:01?
No.
And are we going to regulate it
Good
just like
point,
this,
though.
like just as the bars saying at bar time, 2 or 2:30, everyone's out of the bar and it's locked up, correct? It'll be regulated the same way, correct? So at midnight,
I was just gonna
everybody
ask-
should be out.
I was just gonna ask, are we giving, you know, a grace period that everybody has to be out by midnight, or the event has to be done and everybody has to be out by 12:30, or,
The event has to be done by midnight.
okay?
Music
And-
stops at midnight, or, and then they got time to get out?
They got time to chew
Okay,
them out,
but then what is that time then when everybody has to be out? That's my question, because
which should be the same as,
There's
well,
bars,
the
I
way
would say.
I look at it is it should be regulated like bar time. Bar time is at a certain time, that means everybody's out the door and the door's locked by
I would
that
say
time.
leave it the same as bar time then.
Meaning by midnight, then everyone's locked and out the door?
No. The event ends at midnight, but they gotta be, cause if they have beverage and stuff, you're gonna allow them to sit in the tavern, what's the difference? That's my opinion.
So you're saying the dance has to end at midnight, but they can stay there till 2:30?
How can you allow them to stay across the street till 2:30?
Cause it's not a dance hall, it's a tavern.
I think that gets sticky, in my opinion.
Both ways.
I don't
Right.
think it'd make that much work for you guys, would it?
You get to come hang out with me on a Friday and Saturday night when we have a dance hall.
My suggestion would be, just because it is just a dance hall, and the concept behind it would be parties and stuff, would be 12 midnight. They're locked out the door. The only ones left behind would be anybody, the owner or anybody that's cleaning for purposes of that, but.
And I was thinking, you give them an hour to get out.
I was thinking a half.
I'm just saying if you have,
And if you can get
Decorations
everybody
of some
out the
sort of
door in a
event
half
like
an hour,
that.
cause you
And
can
I'm
get
not
everybody out
worried
in
in
10
my
minutes.
opinion about if there's an individual that's in there that's the cleanup crew or
Right.
whatnot. My worry is,
Disbanding the group.
well, right, so we say the door is closed and shut, we're done with it at midnight. Yeah, I get there's a couple people cleaning up, but like I said, we treat it like a bar, in my opinion. Shut, everyone's out except for the couple of people. If they need to take 2 hours to clean up the floor, that's fine if there's 2 people in there that are doing that, not 35 people.
I can go anywhere,
Midnight is long enough.
and out by 12:30,
Yep.
event ends by 12.
I got a half hour to shoo them out.
Dance ends at 12,
Everybody in agreement?
building empty by 12:30, that gives them a half an hour. You can get everybody out in a half an hour.
You have a big stick.
I've bartended before, you can get everybody out in 5 minutes if you yell loud enough.
Any other questions, Chad, other than those?
I remember,
Not that I'm aware of.
Start time, we wanted to have
Sleeping
8
out?
8 AM.
8 AM start.
Yeah, that's great.
What's that?
What are the regular businesses open at?
Something open at 8 or 9.
Tavern's open at 6.
Yeah.
It's all of them, yeah.
I'm okay with 8 for coffee, on a kick. 8 to midnight,
You put in that Irish cream.
8 to midnight.
8 to midnight.
8 to midnight?
Yeah, or get out. Good.
Yeah.
We will present these then to Terry to put in the final draft form for you for next meeting.
Good.
Item 8B, authorization for city administrator to be added as a signer on city bank accounts.
So moved.
If I could make that motion or second it, I would, because I feel Joe's pain. When Angela's calling,
Or Sally.
or Sally saying, I can't get hold of Joe, I'm gonna leave you an envelope of checks, can you sign them? Motion was by Feltus, is a second by, no second yet?
Second.
By Mazak. Thanks, Kevin. On behalf of Joe and I,
I'm leaving you guys hanging.
questions, comments? Obviously, this is so Chad can sign any of her checks and everything.
Right?
No. Clerk will call the roll.
Now we can stop it here.
Sala.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yeah.
Conrad.
Yes.
Feltus.
Absolutely.
Mazak.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sally thinks you most of all.
And one day she's like, I just got a couple of them. I gave
Yeah,
her.
a couple of them.
I had a writer's cramp.
Couple of them I didn't want to sign.
Oh, shoot.
Do you want me to grab it or you got it?
Yeah,
Item 8C, discussion of possible action on the official street map.
it's upstairs. He'll go grab it here.
And we'll just move on to item 8D then in the meantime. Discussion of possible action on crosswalks. Paul brought this up to me a couple meetings ago, about the amount of crosswalks, number one. And how we can better mark them. 2 would be and is there a way we can maybe think about decreasing them? I discussed it shortly with Diana yesterday. To try to funnel people into certain areas so we can really target those areas to help individuals cross.
They cross wherever they want anyway.
Well,
They do, but my biggest thought was the safety.
And I understand that, but if you put a crosswalk at the end of the block and they're in the middle, they're not walking to the end.
Didn't they open meeting?
That's the way I look at it. You ain't in the crosswalk, I ain't slowing down.
A lot of people
But-
won't stop. But a lot of people can't see the little kids that are going because we got crosswalks very close to where cars are parking. Some of these kids that are walking out and going to the elementary are shorter than the car, and they're certainly shorter than the truck. Since I brought this up, I was almost hit twice on Main Street, and I'm very not.
But the state statute is 15 feet away, and between Diana and I, a few years ago, we changed all the stalls,
Yeah.
just so you're aware of that,
Yeah.
Paul, that, I get it. You got a little one, 15 feet ain't much, but when you say they're close, they were all moved a few years ago.
But if you move
Couple,
over,
3 years
if
ago.
you move over and you're driving and you move into your legal lane to make your turn, and you come into that lane and if somebody comes to the crosswalk and you stop for them, and they keep walking,
Somebody comes
then
around.
the
Right.
car that comes to your left is gonna run them right over, and that's what first started me thinking about it, because I had it happen, and that's what I told him. And I'm like, oh my God, he's gonna get hit, and all I did is I laid on the horn, and the kid jumped, and he looked at me like, what are you honking at me, and then I pointed, and the car went right past us.
Yeah.
If he'd have taken 2 more steps, he'd have been dead. And I don't know the legal, I know it's legal, you are to stop for people in crosswalks. But what's the legality of a crosswalk that isn't marked above the road? Because when I took driver's ed, that was a long time ago, but the only true traffic signals that you were bounded to were what was above the road. Because in the winter, were the crosswalks. And if, you know, so it was a question, it was a concern, and the same thing happened to me when I came over here. The car stopped in the lane, but the car went around the car on the right-hand side because the parking lane was open and slammed on the brakes and goes, oh, sorry, I thought they were stopping for traffic, I didn't realize they were stopping for you. And I'm tall enough, you'd have thought they could have seen me, but it was a decent-sized truck that I was walking past. And then the same-
And I've seen that happen as well, where you stop, even down by the school, you stop to let kids cross
Yep.
when that lady's gone, and somebody shoots around you I'm like,
Yeah.
really?
And so I don't know the answer, but it's not safe what we have in place right now, especially with all those little kids.
Well, by the elementary, we should have, I know they got them in Rochester, and they got them in Winona by the college, where they're flashing lights.
Independence has got them by the public and parochial school there.
They do.
It's
Actually,
on.
they have them in Mondovi too, because when I was at the Buffalo County Fair, walking from the guy's place I was staying at to the fair, when you cross 10, you push the button and the lights blink, and then you walk across the road.
Right, but correct me if I'm wrong, with those particular ones, there's a center island in the middle of the street and those 2-lane traffic, so the individuals can walk and stop in the middle and be safe on that island and then continue if need be, right?
Not the one in Mondovi, no,
Okay,
it was just Highway 10.
cause
By
I,
the university on 43, the one on the state there's not an island.
okay,
And then there's one by, on Gunderson on Mormon Cooley, I just can't remember if there's an island.
I don't know what those
so I
cost,
have
but
They're-
$30,000 for a pair, cause I've been asking for those for 7 years.
How much?
For lighted signs?
$30,000, yes,
maybe that's something we need to budget for.
been trying for 7 years.
I think definitely we should have a flashing light, a block before the elementary and a block after. Cause there's gonna be, a kid's gonna get run over, I just know it's
I
gonna
mean,
happen.
we have had a kid, hit and killed in the city of Arcadia, not using a crosswalk. You know,
On top of the
we
hill.
definitely- and we
Just
definitely
up
don't want to happen
for my
again.
mom, yeah.
Yeah, come out from a snowbank. I remember that.
I remember that too.
And that.
And that's a tough, where that happened, that could happen no matter how many crosswalks, it was a bad time of the year, it's a bad location. I mean, you could have no snowbanks and. it
And
could
with
happen.
that being said, I don't know if this falls under the same category, but Wilson Avenue is gonna have to have extensive snow removal this winter with the amount of pedestrian traffic that's up there now. Cause there's no sidewalks.
So don't just look at me, look at the guy across the table.
Yeah, but, well,
I mean, I understand what you're
but
saying.
that all comes at a price.
So, Diana, can you get some I mean, I know you threw out 30,000.
I have sheets for quotes I gave last year I asked for to put in the 5-year budget plan, and I've been asking for that for a couple of years. I've got it all saved in my office.
I think it'd almost be a grant for something like that.
Not really.
Or maybe work with, see if the school has some sort of a grant, is it like a safe, sometimes they have different grant opportunities than we do, call it a safe school zone or a safe passageway or.
The hard part is with the school though, and I've asked before and worked with some of the people from the school and grant stuff, some of those are really hard too as well, and or they don't have the staff to do the writing the grants too, so.
And I don't know what lights you're talking about, but I've seen crosswalks with, and I'm not a very good artist, but just, they like had it's up higher, and it's just like a yellow light that blinks up above. And then they've had the buckets, the big white buckets down in here marking that crosswalk.
So the lights that I've, or the signs and lights that I have researched and looked at had different capabilities of them. So if it was school time, you could set them and it can be monitored in the school or here over a computer, meaning at a certain time saying it's school crossing time, they would flash, and you can also capture speed. They can be hardwired in, they can be run off the sun, things of that nature. So there's different capabilities, but
And this one was a non-school zone one.
and
This was just a
now was
downtown
this go
area.
completely over the roadway?
Yeah, it was
Is my
like a
only-
cable light hanging across just
There's a
like a
guide
yellow.
wire there already.
My
Like a
only
yellow
thought though is
flashing
with
light.
that though is do we have to get the DOT involved, cause it's a state highway on Main Street in regards to if it's gonna be going over the roadway versus a sign on the side
We
of the
can
roadway.
look into that, but I think if it's only over under a certain height.
15 feet, it's gotta be over 15.
I mean, here's some
But-
quick searches, a 24-inch push button LED flashing, which, so it wouldn't flash all the time unless there's somebody there that pushes it and then lights up. Maybe that's what somebody would want at the school, and maybe the other, they say 3,500 now. That's probably the
Cheap
cheap,
quote on it, yep.
cheap quote on it, but even if
Yep.
it's 15,000,
You think this would be worth talking to Brenda, the regional DOT lady? There may be some funding that they would have for that.
sure.
And I don't know how much more, and I'm just speaking in relative terms, how much more the DOT would actually put into this, because they're the ones that put up the school crossing, or the crosswalk signs that are there about 2 or 3 years ago, remember when they came and put them in? Cause we had asked the DOT then, and that's what they came up with, was the school crossing sign, the yellow ones when you're heading east and the one when you're heading west, they wouldn't go any further than that, but
What-
that doesn't mean that they won't
So
now.
what, changing the speed limit on in that area?
Well,
Per,
if
It
everybody
already
was
says
driving
school zone.
25
Yep,
or 15, we wouldn't have an issue anymore.
A school zone's 15,
Right.
correct?
well, and up by the high school it's 20.
If they were all driving 15 or 20.
Right.
Right.
Well, I know Rob's more than likely seen it too, but there's some of them vehicles that go past my house, your house, more than 30 miles an hour.
More than 40 miles an hour.
And even in the downtown areas, both of mine, all three of them have all occurred in the downtown area, not the school. Cause I know this turned before at school. Mine have happened here, and down there.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I agree with you, Paul. I mean, if we're gonna do this, I'd put one by the school, just
Yes,
because of
yeah.
the way it is
Yeah,
now.
no, I agree with you.
But the state bank, this is a highly utilized intersection for people for crossing, more so than the crosswalk down the street. And then either by subway or even by detox,
Rock
which
is-
is very another.
Can you give him a call? He's up at the school, cause he should come and get it. Thanks.
So can you get,
Uh-huh. Yep, I got it written down.
and do we have to talk to the DOT if, Paul and I just talked loosely about it, was marking on the road, the sidewalk before the crosswalk? Sometimes they have crosswalk ahead or something like that before the actual crosswalk. I don't know
I
if we.
think they would probably wanna, at least, yeah.
You don't have, you've
I think
seen
you'd
that,
have to
right?
touch base with them before you did that.
She's here on Tuesdays in Truffle County, Brenda is.
I don't know who she is, I usually deal with Rick Tabiniak.
He's the construction guy.
Okay.
She might be more of a safety.
Yeah,
Sure.
she's with our superintendent every Tuesday.
Yep.
So maybe talk to the county.
Well,
Oh,
he's
great.
off. The,
And
the,
Liz?
no, our state superintendent had a heart attack, so You could call Al Renka, would you like his number?
I have his.
That's who I would talk to.
And you're looking for grants, or what are you looking for?
Yeah, that,
The
if they
DOT?
have-
That,
And then I would bring up that if we can mark before the crosswalks as well. I don't know if that really works, but,
Can't hurt.
I mean, we can do it on our city streets up.
I'm
off
not
of-
saying no, but the thing is, you need the templates, and those templates are expensive, just so you know that beforehand. Maybe you could have them come in and do it, I don't know. You know, like even Washington Court, if anyone's noticed, they put them down and they're supposed to come through and redo them all, I think it's next year, I believe. Cause I wanted them to do some of it this year, and they said, nope, it's on the budget for next year. I called up to the paint guy up there,
Where all the markings are?
yeah. So Washington Court should get fully painted next year, but it's only every so many years, and that's just the way it is. And I tried to get them here and nope, won't do it, so.
Well, I'm not surprised by that.
you mean the state, the marking on?
Yeah, the white lines and where it says stop and the arrows and stuff. We tried to hurry before Ashley for the Arts and get everything done, so the town looked nice, and I called them and, nope, we will not do it till next year, cause that's when it's on the budget, or on the schedule, so.
Like fixing Main Street.
Do you have questions, or do you have any more concerns? I mean, I think we're all on the same page of, we've all seen it happen, or had it happen to ourselves. And obviously, safety should be but one of our top priorities. Right. Item 8C, discussion of possible action on the official street map. The last time this was adopted, correct me if I'm wrong, was 1970.
This is dated 1975.
75?
We have been through our records and we never officially adopted a city street map. So, staff has kind of gone through, and we're to the point. The Plan Commission had a hearing on Monday night regarding the street map and made a recommendation to the city council to adopt.
They what?
They made a
recommendation there
to the council.
So this is the official map, if you wanna take a minute, look at it. There's a smaller version of it. Joe's got another smaller version over there.
You know, we have some streets in town that, are partially city street, partially town roads. Those are marked in different colors. Gaffney Road is one of them. There is some question on the correct spelling of Gaffney, whether it's G-A-V-E-N-E-Y or G-A-V-N-E-Y.
G-A-V-N-E-Y.
That's the belief of.
N-E-Y.
There's that Wanda Avenue, we need curbs up there.
G-A-V-E-N-E-Y?
G-A-V-N-E-Y.
See, we're under, there's two E's in it. There should be.
Well, can you look up
No,
what
that's-
Judge Gaviney's name was spelt, and that's where
That
it
was,
come from.
well, that was two E's, and that one came down from Mrs. Saddlebach.
Yeah.
So we went back to a local historian, but yeah, that's
What's it say on the-
G-A-V-E-N-E-Y.
What does it say on their mailing addresses?
We found it in,
We found it multiple ways, kind of near Valley Creek.
yeah.
So I was gonna check with the town and see how they have it.
But it was, yes, it was named after Judge
Judge
Gaviney.
Gaviney.
Was he a Supreme Court judge?
He was.
Yes. And then the
Are you
burgundy
on?
ones are streets that were streets that are no longer the private drives now. All these are listed as North Street, Third Street, like the mobile home park off of County A.
So it's just one address for the driveway.
It's all, those are all listed North Third Street.
Yes, and then there's a
And then
lot.
a lot number.
Yes,
1080 North Third.
correct.
It's funny that you,
3 dumpsters a week.
some, who was that at the planning commission said the same exact name of the address, was that you?
Mm-hmm.
That, they knew the address off the top, how many times it's been called there, right? Comments, questions?
They freaking fly miles out there.
If Then I'd entertain a motion to approve, I would say just pending checking the spelling of Gavney, which they'll adjust.
So move.
Motion by Feltus, by Anderson.
Okay, and it would be adopting the resolution as well, adopting and recording it with the register deeds.
Correct.
Okay, and that was Feltus?
Nope,
No.
yeah, Feltus and Anderson, sorry.
Part of Cleveland is going here too though, isn't it? Should be. Cause that fence comes across
No.
somewhere in here.
In
Nope.
Cleveland.
That's
Nope.
Harrison.
That's Harrison, you're talking over here. This would be
Harrison
behind the
and-
fire station.
What's this right
That's
over here?
Cleveland.
Yep, right there though, that's where
Commercial?
that fence is.
Commercial.
Oh, okay.
Commercial
This is
and
Main,
Harrison.
fire station's on that corner.
Oh,
This would
yeah,
be
yeah,
the
I'm
backside
going
of
straight
that.
off, you're right, it is Harrison, you're right. That's where the fence comes across the Turtle Street area.
Yep. More questions? Danielle?
No, I'm good.
Clerk will call the roll.
Anderson.
Yes.
Conrad.
Yes.
Feltus.
Yep.
Mezek.
Yes.
Sensala.
Absolutely.
Motion carries. Item 8E, discussion and possible action, discussion only on the 2020 wage increases for general fund employees.
Denied.
No action.
Beat you to it, didn't I, Joe?
Who wants to take it, Angela or Chad?
We, bear with us, we didn't you do this one and I'll do that one, so what do you think?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, now you're going ahead.
Trying to think. Personnel committee, so Dan and Marlis were at a personnel committee meeting, was it last week? I think it was last week.
Last weekend.
And, we got together with we got the utility commissioner representatives and then, Marlis and Dan, and they were talking about wage increases for, 2020. Marlis and Sliver wanted that to come back to the council for discussion. And the utility commission would like to have a joint meeting with you at some point in October
Okay.
to discuss it.
We want it, we'll be during our regular scheduled time. It's probably the first meeting, I guess, maybe in October. So we can get a better handle on budget-wise, is it rather do it earlier than later?
Yeah, that was, if I remember correctly, it was October 3rd, right? That's when they wanted to
Yeah.
join,
October, actually, it's October 2nd.
or second.
Whatever, what that
I would
was,
say
the
we
first good couple of days in October.
And then we can discuss the time later, but I think if we do it at 5 to accommodate them a little bit better, I can make that work.
5:30 would be better.
5:30, sorry.
4:30? It's paving season.
Raleigh's gotta leave at 6 for cards.
Did you have anything else to add, Mr.
Yes,
Khan?
I would, if possible, if we could have a sheet of the yearly totals of,
All
Yes.
hourly and salaried employees?
yeah,
Legitimate
their
employees,
regular hours, their
non-regular?
overtime hours of every employee.
Sure.
And I'm assuming we have some salaried employees on the utility side?
Well, yes.
Cost of living's 2.6%
If you could have that, that would be
Increase.
handy.
increase, yeah.
Any other comments, questions, or anything you, if before,
Yeah, 2.6% you should
we'll
get.
say like 2 weeks, give Angela a day or so to file information, or Chad if they don't come Wednesday morning, Wednesday afternoon and expect it. If you could let them know what your desires are the Monday before the meeting, if there's anything else they would like for that meeting. Just don't show up at 3 o'clock and ask for it, it's just to be fair to them. Is that okay, Angela, or
Absolutely.
3:30?
3:15.
All right. Item 8F, discussion of possible action to approve soliciting bids for financing city's share of the internal drainage project of $558,220. This is in coordination with the economic development grant and CDBG grant we received. Obviously, our portion is $500,000, a little north of $500,000.
558.
June
Okay.
20.
Angela, you wanna take it?
Again, so Chad and I met with Sean Lentz and conference Mayor Greg going into that conversation yesterday. And we were trying to figure out how best the city should finance this project. So we're gonna get a $5.7 million project done for about $558,000. So we have a $4.2 million EDA grant, we're gonna have a $1 million CDBG grant, so we have to fund that difference. And in talking through things, the TIF districts are now closed and are paying back. To have no tax impact to our taxpayers, we could do a repayment on the advance over the next 2 years. So when the revenue comes in from the TIF districts, it goes back to pay the debt service on those TIF districts because we borrowed money to do projects over the years. And so after that debt service is paid, the general fund fronted that money to the TIF districts over the years, so there's a repayment back to the general fund as well. So to have no tax impact on our taxpayers, we can take the cash balance ending in those accounts this year, which is close to $275,000, put that in a segregated account, do a short-term borrowing over 2 years for another $275,000, which would get us where we would need to be, and then we would do the advance repayment would pay the principal and interest on that short-term note for up to 2 years.
The reason we discussed this, Chad was brought up to speed, Angela, and this was brought up before we even applied for the CDBG grant of, this is one idea that Sean had to pay for it without doing a long-term borrow or bond for the money. And I agreed, and I think Angela agreed that the taxpayers already paid for those improvements down there, or our TIF districts in general, so we don't really wanna tax them again to use money that they used
Right.
initially. So what we would do is money being paid back to
Right.
come up with the 558.
But with that being said, if that money was paid back into the general fund, there's a remote possibility that taxes would go down.
No,
Taxes never go down.
we have to use it as is it an expense of some sort? This money that's coming back once it's paid for.
No, once the general fund is paid back, the TIF district will close. And then right now, our equalized value with the TIF districts is about $195 million. The TIF districts are about $40 million, so $155 million is what our tax, the general property taxes are based off of. So when everything's paid back, the TIF district closes, and then suddenly that tax base is $195,000. So
Million.
the mill rate will go down at that point.
So it wouldn't be immediate.
Well, we need to do this project.
Questions? I mean, this is the only way we can do it without having an impact on the taxpayers. Like Angela said, we're getting
for it.
We're getting 4.2 million from the federal government, and actually 5.2, it's just a different part of the
When is
federal
this gonna
government.
start?
Groundwork has already started, the planning. Construction
We're gonna
really would
finish
be, they talked about be at the end of this year,
At the end of 19?
yeah.
Let's get it going.
And this is motion by Conrad, is there a second? By Sensala.
Yesterday.
This is all in conjunction that we've talked about previously about purchasing that parcel of property from the school district, putting the pump station in, redoing the pumps here when they redo the road. So, I mean, the planning and the groundwork is already in the works. You guys have a comment?
No, we had talked yesterday about the match being 500,000, but the CDBG requirements is the match is 500,000, but EDA's is 1,558,000. So you take away the $1 million grant and it's 558. That's a little more than we talked about yesterday.
But it's still the same, it's the principle how we're getting there.
It is, but it's,
Well, I appreciate you bringing that up. There's a motion and a second. Any other discussions? Clerk will call the roll.
who made the move? Anderson?
Fritz.
Fritz.
And
Sliver.
Mr. Sensala to you.
wow. Everybody must have ate a little something too much this one. Whenever you're ready.
Conrad?
Yes.
Feltes?
Yes.
Mazak?
Yep.
Sensala?
Yep.
Anderson?
Yep.
Motion carries.
Ain't scared of you, Joe.
Mr. Chestnut.
Item 9A, approved bills of general account in the amount of
So moved.
$129,270.86. Motion by Sensala, is there a second? By Anderson. Questions? Clerk will call the roll.
Feltes?
Yep.
Mazak?
Yes.
Sensala?
Yep.
Anderson?
Yes.
Conrad?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 10A, operator licenses.
So move pending background checks.
Motion by Feltus, is there a second?
Second.
By Mazak. Clerk will call the roll.
Mazak?
Yes.
Sensala?
Yep.
Anderson?
Yes.
Conrad?
Yes.
Feltes?
Yep.
Motion carries.
Why don't we 2 out of the 3?
We will move into, entertain a motion to go into closed
So
session.
moved.
Motion by Mazak, second by Feltus. Clerk will call the roll.
Sensala?
Yeah.
Anderson?
Yes.
Conrad?
Yes.
Feltes?
Yep.
Mazak?
Yes.
Motion carries. All right, at this point, I close the public hearing for the liquor license for, how do you say that now? Bar Los
Portillo's?
Portillos?
Portillo's?
Patrillo?
Patrillos.
Charles.
Patrillos. I guess I'd entertain a motion either to approve or to deny.
I'll move we deny.
Second.
Motion by Conrad, second by Feltus. Comments or questions? Clerk will call the roll.
And just for clarification, the points listed.
Yes.
Conrad?
Yes.
Feltes?
Yep.
Mazak?
Yes.
Sensala?
Yep.
Anderson?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 10I, which should be listed as 10C, discussion and possible action on the application for a temporary
So
picnic permit
moved.
for the
Second.
Associated Conservation Clubs of Trumbull County. Motion by Feltus, second by Sensala. We all know what this is for. They have a raffle up at the
Winner, chicken dinner.
Joe, you don't need any more devices? Clerk will call the roll.
Feltes?
Yes.
Mazak?
Yes.
Sensala?
Yep.
Sound like my
Anderson?
wife.
And Conrad?
Yes.
Fort Darlene, or whatever you call that down there, Charles.
Camp Darlene.
Camp Darlene. Well, we already discussed the regular meeting will be Wednesday, October 2nd, same time right here. We actually might wanna move that down there. If we have all of us, it's a little crowded. To the utility building.
Are you looking for future agenda items? Is that right now?
We sure can.
I think we need to look at our stormwater capabilities on Wilson Avenue. I don't know if we need to look at getting another source to the
Drain?
creek, because what we got there doesn't make the trip.
Right, I think, we may have, and we can talk, Chad and I can talk to Raleigh, and if we have to either jet some of those out, and part of that's really getting filled in on that city property before it goes to the dike.
That needs to get done.
Behind those homes on Pleasant to the north.
Yeah.
I mean, that drainage that's part of the problem.
Wilson Avenue goes down to Fairfield and then across Main Street and dumps into Turton Creek.
What dumps in 2 spots.
Well,
By Nick's lobbies there, yeah, you're correct.
and
Right by Doug Sculls, whatever that
Yes.
short road is, or.
that's, I think, what's the first street? Pleasant? I think Pleasant
Oh,
goes
this
across.
It's Jefferson, David, Was it? Yeah, there's a map right here. It's official now. Good call, Paul. That was good.
Because when you have water coming out of the
We should,
storm sewers and coming above the curb and giving you a foot in your yard, and I'm not the only person that had this problem. I mean, people's houses are getting wrecked up there.
I got water in my basement all the time.
anyway, that should be, we can put it on
Can't
for
dig
as a
out the
future
ditch behind
agenda
my house
item.
to make the water
If you
go
wanna
away.
work with Raleigh and get some information.
I'm not even gonna discuss that with you, Dan.
Because the property owner, from going west of the city shop through the, they gave us, I believe, an easement through there to maintain in the, armory across from your house, Fritz.
Right,
And
but
then down, but I'm just saying, if we start to clear all that out, that's gonna help with water flow, that anything that, we have to do that as well. It all has to do with Wilson. I mean, all behind there gets backed up.
yeah, but you have and it never used to rain like it does now. And that ain't nobody's fault. But are we gonna just tell these homeowners that that's the way it is?
No, and we have a jetter truck, so if they have to be jetted to be cleaned, I mean, there's more dust and dirt, crap that goes down those things. But
We
yes,
should
we
get
can
them
put on-
televised, see what's where.
Well, where does where does all the water from Wannock Avenue go?
That goes behind the city shop.
wanting,
But you got all Hillview and everything that
Because,
comes
Joe
in.
knows for a fact that when it rains hard, that parking lot by Nelson, it's 3 steps deep sometimes in there, in the back.
some of that goes back, I think, towards Highway 93 though. I'm not really for sure on wanting. I think some of it goes back towards Arcadia Implement that way.
It all flows this way.
Are you sure?
Mm-hmm.
But we can, it's a good point. That's,
I mean, because the last thing we need is 40 homeowners coming with the cry that their property's blighted and then taxes go down, then where are we?
right. Put it on the agenda and we'll get with the operations man.
Probably gonna be first thing to go out those.
Yeah.
What's that?
But we have a
Probably the first
jetter
of many
truck, I mean,
places
that's
that we're gonna have to look at
the
doing
least
something.
expensive way to start, that's what we
Yeah,
should start
I
with.
mean, last Wednesday, there was, well, however tall the curb is, plus another 8 inches.
Go over your dog count?
No, that was fine.
Okay.
But it did come up against my house, and I don't have to tell you what happened next.
Anything else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I felt the second amazing.
Call it all.
Sensala.
Yep.
Anderson.
Yep.
Conrad.
Yes.
Altus.
Yep.
Mazak.
Yes.
If I